it's checking in on them so you can start figuring out what are different things that could motivate them and what are things that can again raise that morale. So once you start asking questions, once you get to know, basically it's just getting to know your assistant. Hey there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now my goal at this video is to walk you through how to boost the morale of your virtual assistant or your virtual team. Now if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lai Lacaba. I've been working from home since I was 15 years old and now run an outsourcing company here in the Philippines. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now when it comes to running a remote team or managing a virtual assistant, one of the things that you might start to notice, especially as things probably have hit a grind or things are kind of the same day to day, is the morale might be down. It could also be just as your company is hitting a rough patch. If clients aren't coming in as they usually do, is again, that morale might be going down. People might not be as motivated to keep going. So I'm going to be sharing with you a few tips, a few things that you can do and apply into your company to help boost that morale. First one is just to socialize. Even though you guys are all remote, if you guys are all online, socialize in some way. This doesn't have to be setting up a Zoom meeting, although that is something that you can do. This could also be as simple as just checking in on them every day of like, hey, how you doing? Can I do anything for you? It could just also be asking them like, hey, what did you do over the weekend? It's checking in on them so you can start figuring out what are different things that could motivate them and what are things that can again raise that morale. So once you start asking questions, once you get to know, basically it's just getting to know your assistant or your team better, you can then start putting incentives in place, being able to give them the kind of tasks that will inspire them to keep going, or even to know what are the gaps that they might be missing from this project. That's why they're losing motivation. Most of the time when it comes to employees losing morale or losing motivation, it could be just they kind of lost what they were working towards. So giving them that just check-in of like, hey, how are you doing? Do you need anything? Can help them feel like, okay, yeah, I need this or I need that. And even though they do have things handled, there might be a few things that they haven't been able to just voice out that they need to be able to keep going. And speaking of just socializing, you can do a whole goal setting exercise. So this is something that I do with our executive assistants at 2XU, where I help them go through, okay, what were your goals? You know, if you're feeling this way, what was the goal that you were trying to get? So I focus first on their personal goals, and then I try to connect it with their work goals. So for example, someone has a savings goal, then I try to direct them of like, okay, if you hit these KPIs, then you're going to be able to get a raise. If you hit, you know, this target, if we're able to finish this project, I would be more than happy to give you a raise, just because then that'll be an additional ROI profit inside of the company, which of course I can afford a raise for you. So it's basically just giving them direction of where it is that they would need to go. So then they are again feeling that motivation to keep going because they can see where the goal is, where the future lies, so then they can keep going even without you managing them as much. Next is, once you have done the goal setting, is after you have set their goals, they know what to go, is to focus on your virtual assistant's strengths. There are times where we end up getting stuck doing the things that we don't want to do anyway, and when you go ahead and refocus, like, oh yeah, you were really good at graphic artist, right? Okay, here are a few tasks that you can do. You can set aside these, we can give this to someone else. It's making sure that it's not just you working on the things that you like working on the most, it's also helping your assistant focus on that so they can feel empowered to keep going. They can feel empowered like, hey, this is my zone of creativity, my zone of genius. A lot of people call it different ways, but it's motivating them that you see what their strengths are and you want to cultivate and grow that by making sure that they're working on the right tasks. And if you have no idea what their strengths are, look at their recent wins. Look at the things that they are proud of. Look at the things that they have posted on their Facebook, like, hey, I did this for work. Or if they're not that kind of person, you can even just ask them, like, hey, in the last 6 months, where have you shined the most? Where have you felt that you were in flow? And you ask questions like this, you get to know their own strengths and you can help them focus on that so then they can keep going. We've had clients before in 2XU where they had their assistant sadly just working on the wrong thing that wasn't for them. And then when we started kind of coaching them through, like, hey, I think this is where your assistant needs to go, then have the assistant run through that. It was so much easier for the assistant and the client to be able to work together just because the assistant was able to grow their strength, grow their own superpower, as we call it in 2XU, and be able to keep going. Next is once they have their goals and once they have their strengths, then you can start focusing on developing them further by giving them training. It could just be developing their further knowledge. It could be giving them new knowledge that they can hop off of. Sometimes when we are feeling stuck, when we're feeling unmotivated and low morale, it could just be that we need a new perspective on how to do certain things. So being able to give your assistant a new resource, being able to give your team probably a quick training or inviting over a speaker can be something that can be fruitful for them, because then they are able to see things, something that maybe they might have been stuck on for a while, to see it in a different light. Next thing is you can just go ahead and kind of encourage them to open up as needed. One of the things that we do inside of 2XU is usually at the end of our weekly meeting is I tell them like, hey, if anyone has any questions, I'll stay here until everyone leaves so you can talk to me as you need to. Or I have our monthly coaching calls where I ask them like, do you have any questions, suggestions, any other feedback that you need to get out? So then it's creating this platform for them to be able to speak out, that even if they don't have anything to say now, they know that there is a way that if they do have something to say, there's a place for it. There's a place and time for it. So they don't feel like, oh, I have to schedule another meeting, like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. They know there's a place for them to be able to speak out. Next is just being socially aware of what they need and what they're currently feeling or going through at the moment. Sometimes when someone is low on morale or low on motivation, something else is happening in their life. It might not just be work. They might be loving what it is that they do for you. It might be the only thing that's keeping them going. But if there's other things that are affecting them, other things that are stopping them from moving forward in their life, it's going to affect everything else. So just checking in on them of like, hey, how's the family? How's this? How's that? How's the goal to get this? What's stopping you from getting to where you are? Or even just looking, if you are hiring from a different country, looking at what's happening in their country. There might be someone who is politically active. There might be someone who is affected by a change in their country. Then you're just more aware generally of what it is that they might need to kind of motivate themselves, to kind of reset, to see where it is that they need to go to in order for them to keep going. Another thing that you can do, of course, is just try not to overwhelm them. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. One is by assessing what are the current things that they're doing and then setting priorities on those. It could also just be checking in on them of like, hey, out of the tasks you're currently doing right now, what's the most difficult, what's a bottleneck? You're just checking in on them because they might be working super hard on the wrong thing. So you want to make sure that you are removing any other obstacles. You're helping them. That's main thing that you can really do as a manager, as a boss, is you're literally guiding your people. You're not supposed to be the person who is doing the job anymore. You're supposed to be managing the people doing the job. So check in on their task list, check in on their project task list if there's anything else that you can do to help them to keep moving forward. And lastly, the biggest thing that you can do to boost morale is praise. Just show that you appreciate them. One way that you can do this is just verbally. You're just saying, hey, I saw you did this amazing thing, and did you hear that this client and that client was blown away? Did you know that this person really loved what it is that you did? So just being able to give them that praise of like, hey, I love that you did this, will help them feel appreciated, that their work is actually something of value instead of something that they're just putting out into the universe and no one even really cares. So try to find different ways they can show appreciation other than verbal. Of course, it's just sending them bonus when they finish a big task. There's sending them a birthday gift, or if there's some sort of occasion, sending them a gift then. So it's finding different ways they can show that, again, what they do has value, so they can keep feeling motivated to keep going. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what are the ways have you shown appreciation for your assistant. And if you still haven't, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to run a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.